Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So we now have about a month left in the NHL season. The final regular season day is April 18th. It's March 15th, so a little bit over a month. So I thought I would give my updated NHL awards ballot. We're going to do the Calder, the Adams, the Norris, the Vezina, and the Hart. I'm not going to be doing the Selke just because that's like such a tough one to kind of judge based on defensive impact that isn't as telling as these other awards. So we're going to be looking at these 5 awards, and if I'm going to be honest, I'm not really going to be shocking anybody with my picks to win it in these awards. At this point, we're kind of in the award season where most of them are locked up. It's more so about who's going to be a finalist. The race for second and third is kind of up in the air for all of these awards for the most part, and there potentially could be some upsets in terms of who wins it. So without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to be going again Calder, Adams, Norris, Vezina, and then finish off with the granddaddy of them all, the Hart Trophy. And for the Calder, we got Bedard, Faber, Kachetkov, Rossi, and Zari. First off, this is right now. I understand some of these guys are hurt. We're going to get to them like a Thatcher Demko. This is right now if the season ended. If the season ended today, this is what my awards would look like. Connor Bedard, clear pick, even though he missed 14 games, which games definitely do matter. You're going to see in the later awards. He's been by far the best. He has 51 points, 20 goals, 31 assists in 52 games. And in the last 2 games, he's kind of just put the race to bed for the most part. He has 3 goals and 5 assists in his last 2 games, really just blowing it absolutely out of the water. Brock Faber, fantastic season. Couple other seasons recently, he maybe would have won the Calder with this season. I think of probably the last 2 seasons, honestly. Him and Sider would have been a battle, but he definitely would have beat out Matty Beniers. He was fantastic defensively for the first half of the season. First 37 games, not a ton of offense, only 16 points, but was in like the top 5% in the NHL defensively. But in the last 29 games, it's kind of been flipped. Still been good defensively, but he has 22 points in 29 games while just being average defensively. So he's been very good. Overall, 36 points in 66 games while playing a legit number 1 role. Those are the clear 1 and 2. Right now, Kachetkov is kind of separating himself as that number 3 right now. When you consider how rough of a start that he had in his first 12 games, he had an .873 save percentage, but since then in 22 games, he has a 13-6-2 record with a .922 save percentage and 42 goals against in 22 games. If he played like this all season, you could maybe make an argument definitely for him over Brock Faber for that second spot, and maybe even over him over Connor Bedard. But the fact it is a little bit too late. He's only going to be playing around like 40 to 45 games on the season overall. I don't think that he's going to win it, and Carolina is known for having these amazing rookie goalies that get propped up by their system. Maybe Kachetkov will be the example that goes on to become a stud, but when looking at a Delkovich, maybe it is just defensive system. He's great. He's been great, though. Marco Rossi in 4th place, kind of a pretty easy 4th place right now, considering he's played in every single game. 17 goals, 16 assists, 33 points in 66 games, on pace for around the 20-20 season while being solid defensively. Nothing special. Not going to win you a Calder by any means, but he's been a very solid middle 6 player for the Wild. And then Connor Zary, if he had played every single game, obviously missed 10 games at the start because he didn't get called up. Right now, hasn't played since March 2nd. He'd easily be ahead of Marco Rossi, but he's only played in 50 games, 12 goals, 17 assists, 29 points. Very good defensive numbers. So Connor Zary, kind of just a victim of games played, but I still have him in the 5th spot because on a per-game basis, he's definitely been the 4th best rookie this season. In terms of the Adams, I don't think I'm really shocking anybody with this. The one thing that I might have, we'll run through 1 through 5. First off, Rick Tocchet obviously came in, transformed the Canucks. When looking at them, the top 3 in the entire NHL. Last year, they were 13th in goals per game, 26th in goals against. This year, they're 5th in goals for, 7th in goals against. Massive improvement, in part because of Tocchet. I think he has to be the pick right now. John Tortorella, I think it's a lot closer than people are giving him credit for, considering they were expected to be a bottom 5 team in the entire NHL. I had him at like 68 points. Goddamn, I thought they were going to suck. He's done a fantastic job. I do think that gap is closer. If Philly ends up staying in that 3rd Metro Division spot, I could maybe potentially flip on a John Tortorella. And then in 3rd place, I have Andrew Brunette, who I think is kind of an underrated pick right now. I'm not seeing him get nearly enough love. When you look at the Nashville Predators, they didn't have as low as expectations as the Philadelphia Flyers by any means, but they were like a mid to high 80-point team. I think that's where the consensus genuinely fell on them, barely missing out on the wild card after kind of a weird offseason. They didn't really improve that much. They brought in some guys, but then got rid of Duchesne and Johansson. So when looking at him, what he's done in Nashville this year, they're on pace for 98 points, and that's with UC Saros not having a good year. He only has a 907, and in terms of their expected goals at 5-on-5, which I think a coach probably has the most impact on, even strength play, dominating possession, they're 9th in the NHL this year versus 23rd last year. And when you look at this guy just overall, he wins everywhere he goes. Obviously, when he was the coach of the Panthers Islanders when Joel Quenneville got fired, won the goddamn President's Trophy, goes to New Jersey, becomes like the head assistant. They have a 112-point season. Now they absolutely suck. Don't get me wrong. The goaltending is the main reason why, not really coaching. But he just wins everywhere, and as a result, I have him in third. Laviolette, Gerard Gallant, his messages had gone completely stale. They look like they were the third best team in the Metro Division. Laviolette has reinvigorated that entire core. As a result, they're going to run away probably with the Metro Division. And then Chris Knobloch. I could see an argument for having Chris Knobloch third, considering he inherited a 3-9-1 team, and since then he's gone 37-12-2. When looking at it, that's a 122-point pace. He's been fantastic for the Edmonton Oilers. For me, I think that it was just like their horrible start was more so the goaltending. Jay Woodcroft kind of got shafted by Campbell and Skinner. But Knobloch has been fantastic. He technically has the best record of any coach this season. He's been great. He should get more love. I could honestly see you putting him third or fourth. But I do think Tortorella and Tocchet are kind of the picks right now for 1 and 2. The Norris, I got Quinn Hughes number 1. I don't think that's that controversial. 76 points in 67 games right now. He's rocking the insane 63.2 goals percentage at 5-on-5 play. He's been the best. He's been the best defenseman. He's going to win the Norris. We've known that for some time. In terms of Cale Makar, insane offensive season, 17 goals, 56 assists, 73 points in 62 games. The offense has been nuts. The offense has been nuts, but it has been more power play based than in previous seasons. I believe he's first in the entire NHL in power play points, only like 7th or 8th in even strength. The defense has fallen off a little bit, but when you consider previously he was in like the top 3% in terms of even strength offense and defense. So he's having a bit of a down year, but again, his down year still being on pace for like 95 goddamn points. Evan Bouchard, people think that, he's just on the Edmonton Oilers, he's a power play quarterback. Not really the case. He's 6th in the entire NHL in points by a defenseman, 7th in even strength points. So he's been producing at a very high rate. I believe he's ahead of Cale Makar. I think Cale Makar is actually 8th in even strength points. Him and Ekholm have formed one of the best defensive pairs in the entire NHL. He's really came into his own as a awesome offensive defenseman, while also being, although he does make some mistakes from time to time, some boneheaded mistakes, a good defensive defenseman as well. My guy Noah Dobson, 64 points in 65 games, is fully taking that next step. Carried the Islanders offensively, a team that you traditionally think of boring. Meanwhile, now they got a near point per game defenseman. Just has really taken his offensive game, offensive confidence, high IQ guy now to just being a Norris caliber guy. And then Adam Fox, it's just his injuries. I can't really have him that high, considering he did miss 12 games, missed basically all of November. I think on a per-game basis, he'd probably be second in my opinion, but games got to matter in this. When you miss 12 out of, 66 overall games, that's like 15, 16% of the entire season. That's definitely going to knock you. I think by the end of the season, I'll probably have Adam Fox ahead of Bouchard and Dobson if he plays the next 15, 16 games completely. But right now, I think on a games played basis, when you're factoring that in, I would go Evan Bouchard or Dobson over Adam Fox. Now we got the goalies, and the goalies in terms of who's going to be second and third has gotten very interesting in the last week or so, with Thatcher Demko being out 2 to 4 weeks. Right now, Demko would be pretty easily my second pick. But if he misses 3-4 weeks, I think Sergei Bobrovsky, Markstrom, or Binnington can jump him. In terms of Hellebuck, he's kind of the runaway guy right now with a .921 save percentage. He's leading all of goalies in goals saved above expected by 8. Demko's closest at 20. Hellebuck has 28. Bobrovsky, I think, would be my third pick right now. He's just behind Demko in terms of advanced stats, as well as having a .918 save percentage, and has racked up a bunch of wins. Markstrom's very underrated, in my opinion. The analytics suggest that he has been extremely elite. Just happens to play on the Calgary Flames, which isn't that good of a team, so it only has a .910 save percentage, but I think he needs some respect. And Jordan Binnington, I can't believe he's on a goddamn Vezina ballot, but when looking at it, especially after Igor Shesterkin got lit up last night, he's played far more games than a Jeremy Swayman. Binnington has a .913 save percentage, is 4th in the entire NHL in goals saved above expected. I think we have to respect Jordan Binnington. I can't believe I'm mentioning him in back-to-back videos, talking about him in a positive light. He was in my most underrated seasons. Go watch that video as well. But he has been fantastic this season. The only reason the Blues have been a somewhat competent team. Binnington is my 5th place vote right now. Do I think a Shesterkin or Swayman might pass him by the end of the season? Definitely possible, but right now, that's what my Vezina ballot would look like. Then lastly, we got the Hart Trophy. Nathan MacKinnon right now is a pretty easy pick for me. He's goal scoring at an extremely high rate. He's on pace to go over 50 goals with 42, 73, and 115 in 67 games. On pace for 140 points and like mid-50 goals. When looking at that compared to an Austin Matthews, who might score 70, I think the difference, considering Matthews, if he scores 70, Matthews at 70 and 105 points versus McKinnon at 55 and 140. I do think McKinnon would get the nod in terms of a Hart win for that. Nikita Kucherov is my third pick. Do I think maybe McDavid's been a better player overall this season? I could see that argument, but McDavid also did miss 2 games, and I think Kucherov has been more valuable to his team. When looking at the Tampa Bay Lightning, he's leading by 39 points right now over Braden Point. He has been absolutely carrying the Tampa Bay Lightning safely in a wild card spot now, with Vasilevsky playing like shit, Hedman being the worst defensive defenseman in the entire NHL, and Sergachev breaking his goddamn leg. I would say he's more valuable than a Connor McDavid, who's still been great, but again, just only having 25 goals in 62 games, 106 points. That goal scoring needs to be up. That you can't just be racking up first, primary, and secondary assists and expect to win the Hart Trophy. You can have your Ross, but if you finish with only 33, 34 goals, that's not going to be enough to win the Hart, especially if McKinnon goes for 50. And then I got Hellebuck. I haven't seen Hellebuck really get a lot of Hart respect, and although he's not a 2015 Carey Price by any margin, he would be my 5th guy right now. I don't think that there's another forward or even Quinn Hughes that I would put here instead of Hellebuck. He's at 30, 15, and 2 record with a 921. And he's 8 goals saved above expected, ahead of second place. The clear Vezina pick right now. And I think he has been by far the most valuable player on a Winnipeg Jets team that is safely going to cruise over 100, 105 points. Give Connor Hellebuck some respect. So going through it again, Calder, Adams, Norris, Vezina, in the Hart. Let me know in the comments, what is your awards ballots looking like? Who would you move up? Who would you move down? Who would you put on? Who would you take off from my own? And I'll be seeing the next one.